Good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I may answer your U.S. immigration related questions. Tonight, I am going to be talking about VAWA. So how do you apply for your own permanent residence, your own work permit, while being in the United States out of status in the case that you're being mistreated by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, parent, or citizen son or daughter who's 21 and up. So that is the topic tonight, but I want to remind you that I am here to answer your U.S. immigration related questions. So don't hesitate to go ahead and put those questions in the comments so that I may answer your questions. Now let us get started. And it doesn't matter that your question is not related to the topic that I'm talking about. I want to get your questions. If you have that question, then I know a ton of other individuals probably have the same question. And so it helps me to give you information that you care about. Now, with VAWA, who qualifies for VAWA? So if you are being mistreated, so that means if you are in a situation where someone is being cruel to you, if they're verbally abusive, if they are mentally abusive, if they are financially abusive, or if they're physically abusive. Now, physical abuse is not required. It could be any one of those. Then this is where you could possibly qualify on your own. So Katie the Stallion, my 769 got approved today. How long to wait until the work permit? So if it got approved today, I'm seeing a pattern of a week to 2 weeks for it. It just depends on how long it takes to get through the mail. Now, if it's approved, they'll usually indicate on your case status that they have mailed the work permit, and congratulations on your getting approval on your work permit. I know that is one of the things that many individuals do want right now. So congratulations. Keep your questions coming because I'm here to answer your questions. So put those questions in the comments. Tonight I'm talking about VAWA, applying for permanent residence based on mistreatment by qualifying relatives. So those relatives who mistreat you, if these individuals mistreat you, then VAWA could possibly be a path for you to get a work permit, status, and permanent residence in the United States. So if a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, if you're under 25 and a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident parent, or a citizen son or daughter 21 and up mistreats you, verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically, then this could qualify you. So from F1 to permanent residence, so there's nothing that creates an automatic path from F1 to permanent residence. Usually that F1 individual would have to have another way to qualify through family, through an employer, through humanitarian means. But there is no pathway. So nothing in place that is a pathway, a natural pathway from F1 or a direct pathway from F1 visa to permanent residence. So we were approved for the I-130. So great. That is great. Congratulations. So you do have the next step. It depends on where you are, if you're here in the US or abroad. But once you're usually approved for the I-130, it's going to go to the National Visa Center. If you're abroad, of course, where you will then, the National Visa Center will get in touch with you and start to gather additional documents. This is where, if you are in a foreign country, where you will be required to submit the affidavit of support, the immigrant visa application, as well as the associated fees that go with that, and then the required documents, usually the civil documents. It's been 3 months since I sent in my marriage green card application. What should I do? No response from them yet. So you can always schedule a consultation, and we can talk more about your particular circumstances. You can also call them to see if they have received it. Now, I don't know if you received the receipt notice, but if you receive the receipt notice, then you are definitely not alone. It's as long as you've received the receipt notice, then months can go by and you will not hear anything. That is not out of the ordinary. Hi there, Cheryl Curtis. It's so nice to see you. Can a grandmother sponsor her grandchild if the grandchild is 26 years of age? Child has no parents. So, Madev Singh, it really depends on your circumstances. If your grandmother legally adopted you, for example, maybe that may be a possibility. However, in any other case, a grandmother cannot directly file for their grandchild. So it really, if you would like to figure out if there is an exception, for example, if your grandmother legally adopted you before a certain age, that could be a possibility there. Hi, I have my citizenship text so your citizenship test. I can change the date 1 week more or no, thanks. So if you're in a situation where you cannot make it, especially with COVID going on, they have allowed the flexibility to call and have it rescheduled. You can, if you cannot make it, you can definitely contact them and let them know, and they will definitely give you instructions on how to reschedule if necessary. Hi, I have, and usually too, they will have instructions on how to change the date of the appointment or how to reschedule on your interview notice. How long do you have to wait to get a response from the USCIS after they received the revised RFE 130? So you could be looking at a couple of months to get a response. How fast can my family get a visa to USA from Ethiopia, or which type of visa is faster? So the visitor's visa, if they're handing out visitor's visas, because some embassies, just depending on the situation in the country or the COVID situation, are not currently giving out visitors visas. But if you want to temporarily visit the US, then that is offered in your country at the US embassy, then the visa would be the fastest. However, it's not necessarily the easiest. You can always try and make sure that you go in with strong evidence to show that your family, they who want the visa, they have to show that they have strong ties. So each individual applying for the visa has to show that they have strong ties to their home country, that will make them return to their country. For example, if they have a long-standing job, if they have assets, if they have strong family ties, if they have some sort of commitment like school, or they're in a specific program that they're very invested in, these would be examples of strong ties. How to know if I have a green card? So top man hunch, without the receipt number. So top man hunch, I'm not sure what the situation is, but you would definitely be aware that you have a green card, because you would have to go through the process. So there's no way for you to get a green card without individually, personally going through the process, attending an interview and so forth. So if there's something you're concerned about, definitely give me a call, schedule a consultation, and we can talk about your particular situation, because it sounds like something unusual is going on there. When he ready to send for me and my son. So Linne Saros, let's see, I didn't see the rest of your questions. So can you go ahead and put your questions? I'm always getting work permits and no green card. I don't know why. So that could be an indication that your process is still pending, but it's still strange that you don't have a receipt number, because usually you'd have to have a receipt number to show that your petition or your application is still pending. The the vaccinated and we have a good fiance and we own a company here in Ethiopia. Okay, so they're vaccinated. We have a good fiance and we own a company here in Ethiopia. So Jonah, it's not necessarily you. It's not going to be dependent on your assets, but more dependent on how your family can show they have strong ties. My spouse is a green card holder for 1 month. Can he come home to marry me and start filing to take? So yes, Cassie, spouses of green card holders can apply for their spouse, and if you are already in your home country, he definitely has the right to visit you, marry you, and then file the papers. Can an employer petition for me while I'm in the U.S.? I am still within status on a B2 visa. So Chem J30, is highly unlikely that you'll be able to stay on a B2 visa and go and go through the green card process being sponsored by an employer. Because you will have to maintain your status, and that B2 status is only a temporary visa. You cannot work while you're here either on a B2, so that's another thing. And you would not likely be able to extend it based on your intention to apply for a green card, because if you notice they're conflicting, right? You can't be saying I want to extend my B2 visa in order to get permanent residence. And so you can definitely qualify through your employer, but your process may be a little different just depending on your circumstances. And that's where it's very important to schedule a consultation. Top Man Hunch, thanks so much for sharing the live. I appreciate it. So my spouse has anxiety and depression. I'm worried if it acts up during the interview. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I definitely have observed that level of anxiety in interviews before. And so you should definitely, prepare your spouse for the interview. I don't know if you're the petitioner or the immigrant, but you can definitely prepare your spouse for the interview. My husband sings for my son, but he's not the father of my son. Would it be a problem when he's sending for us? So if your husband is a U.S. citizen and your husband is filing for you, your husband has to file for your son separately. And that's if your son qualifies as a stepchild of a U.S. citizen. If your husband is a green card holder and is applying for you, then no, in that case, your child could be included on your application, even if they're not his child. You are allowed to bring dependents, or what we call derivatives in the immigration world, along. Because my son is carrying my husband's name. Yeah. So even though it doesn't sound like he formally adopted him, but if he's his stepfather and he qualifies as a step parent, he can definitely qualify. It's just what forms do you have to submit based on the type of relationship. That's super important to know. So Lynette, I think that's Lynn. Definitely get in touch, call, schedule a consultation. Make sure that you understand the process that you're going into, especially if you haven't started yet. The best time to get legal advice is before you start the process, so you don't make any mistakes. And that's what I'm here for. So schedule a consultation. You can do that by going to the link in my bio, going to the website, and you can call, you can do online chat, or you can do the contact form. I need help with a rehab program for ex-felons to become a citizen or resident of Canada. Can you so with that, I am not a Canadian. Have you ever helped with that? So I'm not a Canadian immigration attorney, so I would not be able to assist with that. You would definitely have to contact a Canadian immigration attorney. So keep those questions coming. So far, these are all great questions. I appreciate your questions, and I want you to keep them coming. I am talking about applying for VAWA. So it is a way for you to apply on your own without a spouse, without a parent, or without a citizen son or daughter who's 21 and up who's mistreating you. It's a confidential process, and it's a process that can really fix your situation and fix your status. Because even if you're in the US without status, you could qualify for this. If you are, you can apply for your own work permit, your own green card, and you don't have to notify that relative. The US Immigration Service will not notify the relative either. So Guyanese Sunflower, can you help with rejected adjustment cases for the K1? So absolutely, I would have to know your facts in order to assist, and that's where the consultation is very important. But that is definitely right up my alley, and you just have to call, schedule a consultation so I can get your facts and assist you. So keep those questions coming. I am here to answer your questions, and I'm talking about applying for VAWA. My mom filed for me and now she doesn't want to anymore. I have a social. Would that mess me up? So top man hunch. That could very well be a problem. So if your mom doesn't want to file for you, you want to get to the root of that. And that's where the consultation could be very informative and helpful to you, because I would get to the root of what's your age, what's the relationship like between your mom and you, what has caused her to now refuse to file for you. If you're under 25, then there may be under 25, but for example, your mother has been mistreating you over time, even when you were under 18, then you may qualify to apply on your own. Usually the age to apply for VAWA is under 21, but if, for example, the mistreatment is what caused the delay in applying, they allow up until 25 to apply. And so I would want to get to the root of this and see what's going on, to see if there are additional options for you to file on your own, file for your work permit and your green card on your own. After filing your papers, how long does it take to get an SSN? So it's taking about 6 to 8 months along with the work permit. So Cheryl Curtis, I see your question. Can you see my question? But I didn't see your question before. So can you retype your question so that I can answer your question? Can someone still be approved if they have been arrested 3 times in the past? No, it depends on the type of crime. So top man hunch, so you're 19. So definitely there may be a path for you to apply on your own. And so that is where it's very important to schedule a consultation. I can't stress enough. The clock is ticking, and you want to make sure that if you do have that option through VAWA, that you act on it right now. Now, I want to let you know, and those who are listening who know that they need assistance, that you can go to the link in my bio. You can go to the website. When you go to the website, you will see the phone number, you'll see the online chat, and you'll also see a contact form. You can use any one of those, and it will get to a scheduling coordinator who will then go ahead and schedule your consultation. And top man hunch, even if I'm in Connecticut, I shall call and make one. And guess what? As a U.S. immigration attorney, I represent clients all over the country and the world. So I'm not limited by borders, and I'm not limited by state lines. I have clients who are all over the country. And so go ahead, call. I have video and phone consultations available for my clients who are not close by to me. I'm based in Florida, but I have clients all over, and I'm very experienced with working with them. As a U.S. immigration attorney, I do have to work with USCIS offices all over the country, immigration courts all over the country, and U.S. embassies all over the world. So it is not a problem. Thanks for sharing the live. It's domestic violence, but the cases were dismissed. So Shan 07376 doesn't matter. If the cases, okay, so you said, I think arrested 3 times. Okay, so yes, definitely that does matter, because if you're the one that you're applying for the green card and you were arrested for domestic violence, you still want to make sure you understand your rights. Because sometimes, believe it or not, under immigration law, the way that the dismissal happened can actually be considered a guilty under immigration law. For example, if you went through some sort of diversion program where you had to do anger management, but you, before they agreed to do the diversion, they told you that you had to just plead guilty on the books. And then if you followed through with your program and everything went well after about a year, you will then be able to have it dismissed. That could still be considered a guilty under immigration law. So when it comes on to criminal issues, it's very fact dependent on the facts. Just a minor detail can change the results. A minor detail that's included could mean deportation, or it could mean no deportation. It could mean denial of the application you're applying for, or no denial. And I can't stress enough, when you have a criminal issue, that is when you need to get legal advice, because it's such a complex area of immigration law, and you want to make sure that you understand your rights going in. You understand your rights, you understand what process you're going to go through, what you should do to remedy your situation and increase your chances of success. So if your asylum case is still pending and you want to change your status, what should I do? So Black, it's going to depend on how you want to change your status. How do you qualify to change your status? That is where you're going to definitely have to do a consultation. However, it may be possible to change your status even though you're applying for, or adjust status rather. I don't know what your current status is. But if you're looking to adjust status to become a permanent resident, for example, because you now qualify through a spouse, that may be a possibility, but I'll have to evaluate your situation in a consultation to determine whether you qualify. Can I receive a refund if I withdraw I-130 application? Unfortunately, Cheryl Curtis, they don't usually give refunds, especially if you're the one to withdraw. What to expect when going to the appointment. So if you are going to the appointment, the biometrics, it's a very short appointment. No worries, just make sure you fill out that biometrics form that they provide you. And which is it's not a long form at all. They don't ask you any questions. They just basically take your fingerprints, take your biometric information. Now, if you're talking about the interview, you want to just make sure that you're prepared for your interview. If you're going on a marriage-based interview, you want to make sure that you prepare with your spouse. If it's employment-based, make sure you have all your documents. Make sure that you can clearly state your qualifications for the position, if it's an employment-based, or if it's any other type of application. Just make sure that you understand what's in your application, you know by heart your background, that you can answer questions clearly and consistently in order to increase your chances of success in the interview. So Nathy 4040, I don't see the other part of your question. I just see after a VAWA approval. I'm thinking you might be asking what comes after the VAWA approval, which is exactly what I'm talking about. So after you get approved for VAWA, if you haven't received your work permit already, that's the point where you can apply for your work permit and your adjustment of status. The adjustment of status is where you are applying to get permanent residence in the United States, so your green card. And so you would be looking at another year to year and a half to get through that process. But the work permit after applying takes about 6 to 8 months. So after that, it usually gives you some relief while you wait on the process to go through. Shan 07376, you're welcome. Cheryl Curtis, you're welcome. Cassie, thanks so much for the love. I appreciate that. How can we schedule an appointment? So you can go to the link in my bio and it's going to take you to the website. There is a website button. You can click on that. And when you call the number, there is a scheduling coordinator who is available up until 11 p.m. tonight and 11 p.m. tomorrow, and even on Labor Day, just because I know that that is a time when hardworking individuals are off. And so thanks so much for the love. And so we will be open, our doors will be open to take calls and schedule consultations even on Monday. So you can go ahead and give us a call. And also want to let you know, scheduling coordinators are available 9:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday, noon to 5 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. And even if you're up 3 a.m. in the morning and you really just want to get this out of the way, you can call. There are after hours receptionists who run the line 24/7 when the scheduling coordinators are not available. Now, if they're not available, they will definitely get back to you on the next business day. Cheryl Curtis, thanks so much for the love. First time, what is the interview like for an immigrant? So Cassie Joe, it depends on what interview you're going to. If you're going with your spouse or if you're going on your own. But what I would say, the number one thing is make sure you're prepared. Make sure you know what's in your application. Make sure you can answer your questions accurately and consistently. Make sure that you are, you're welcome. Oh, and thank you again, Cheryl. And make sure that you are, that you prepare. Like if you are going in with your spouse, make sure the both of you understand your facts. Believe it or not, one thing that the officers hate is when there's inconsistencies between the spouses, especially when it comes on to basic things that you should know about your spouse. Like, when did you guys meet? If you said October, then your spouse says December, that can definitely raise a red flag, and it could even be enough for them to issue more requests for evidence for you to carry additional information to convince them that it's a bona fide marriage. So it's very important that you prepare. Preparation is key. What about when someone is close to getting deported, when they are married to a U.S. citizen? So that's definitely a more complex process, but there are solutions there. So if you are married to a U.S. citizen, then you may adjust status before a judge if you have to go to court. There is a way to file the petition, and then once you file the petition, request that the court terminate proceedings and allow you to move forward with your process at the USCIS. That is important. Bardi gang, get legal advice, because if you're in that situation, there may be a way for you to avoid deportation altogether. You just need to make sure you follow up with a consultation because your case is more complex. My case is stuck at National Visa Center. How can you assist? So lawyers can't speed up the process unless, of course, we have a good reason to. So if there is a good reason to speed up your case, then we bring it to the National Visa Center and they make the decision, the ultimate decision. But as long as so for example, if you have a compelling circumstance, humanitarian crisis, or something, an urgent, emergent issue, then that could be a possible way to speed it up. Otherwise, just having an attorney alone is not going to speed up your case. Now, I am going to head over to Instagram where I have a pre-scheduled live there. You can go ahead and follow me on Instagram because on Instagram, I post more informative videos. So more informative videos than I do on TikTok. So if you want to see my videos throughout the day to see what I'm saying about VAWA, about adjusting status, about fixing your status, about citizenship, then you can definitely follow me on Instagram where you can get that information. Now, if you hop on, you are free to hop on Instagram with me right now to continue the conversation. Especially if I don't get to your question. So Bardi gang, is there a way a green card holder can erase things from record like shoplifting or speeding tickets? Not for immigration purposes. So even if it's erased, immigration still must know about it. Bardigang, if these are some issues, definitely schedule a consultation and let's talk. Can my wife apply for a visiting visa even though I'm an American citizen? There's nothing barring her from applying. I don't know your wife's situation, but if all is well, she's never had any prior immigration violations or no other issues, then there's nothing that says she can't apply for a visitor's visa. Whether she'll get it is another thing, because they do look at that. Now, if your wife doesn't have strong ties to her home country, but yet she has an American citizen spouse, then she's more likely to get denied, just because that she can easily go to America, join her American citizen spouse on her temporary visa, and not return. So the point of a visitor's visa is to show that you will return to your home country after a temporary visit to the US. Now, I'm so sorry at DYR for the fact that you don't have Instagram, but that's okay, because I will be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm here every night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can't hop on to continue the conversation on Instagram, you can join me here tomorrow night. So that is going to be it for me tonight. Thanks everyone for joining me. I appreciated and enjoyed your questions, and I hope the information I gave you was informative as well. I will be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. or I'll see you in a minute on Instagram. Bye.